Coming up this week on the OK Bloomer podcast.
No one else is watching these episodes of Blossom in 2022. This show would be canceled so quickly. He's like, I'm really glad you're back. I thought about you all weekend long. And the girls in the crowd go nuts.
Yeah, they love it, man. They love this.
Girls in 1992 wanted to bang their teachers, apparently.
Even as an actor, I would feel weird about this.
Blossom says, God, I'd love to kill his wife. There was no laugh track after it. It was just said.
Yeah, weird, man. Weird. We're all going to be late for the show, Nick. Well, why don't we just do it here in the school?
We can't bring all these kids to the show. Let's bring the show to the kids. And then that's Blossom's cue to be like, this is the guy I'm going to ask advice from. Mr. Horny Old Grandpa making dirty words with his alphabet soup. Do I have a question about relationships for you?
Yeah.
You get an A, you get an A, you get the D.
Don't know about the future. Don't.
They don't care about the future, because they live it in the past. Sal and Curtis are taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than this on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie, and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know.
Am I Joey Fatone? Because we are in sync.
I was trying to think of something.
I just sprayed beer all over my computer. I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah, well, that's probably why it froze.
That and the ghosts.
Yeah, it could be.
The demons that haunt me. I was all ready to go. Like I promised, I was all ready to go because I knew you were stressed for time. And I ran upstairs to get my beer and I came down and I was like, okay, test number 2, and I hit Audacity and nothing happened. My computer was frozen.
Yeah, great.
I had already run a test and I just went up to get a beer and it froze, and I rebooted it and it didn't get past it, froze on the reboot screen. But here we are.
All right, man.
Not today, Satan. Not today, Satan.
Oh, great. I'm getting a bunch of pop-ups here. All right.
Oh, no.
I'm good.
There are sexy singles that want to meet you, Sal. within 2 miles.
Right?
What are the odds?
In your area.
That's what it is. I mean, I don't know. Is that what it says?
Something like that.
Something like that. Hey, we will be together doing this in 2 weeks, man.
That's crazy, man.
I am impressed you made time to hammer out an episode. You have a lot going on, my friend, between a young child and a new job, and we have opposite working schedules, and you are getting married in 2 weeks.
That is all correct, yeah.
And you're hot for teacher. Do, I'm hot for teacher. Don't know the other words. I'm hot for teacher. I love Van Halen. I'm hot for teacher. One of my least favorite Van Halen songs. I'm hot for teacher.
Yeah, it's not. It's an overrated song.
Everything David Lee Roth did is overrated. The guy is such a boob. I don't like that word, and I don't like assigning that word to people, but it fits for him. He's just a boob.
Are you more of a Sammy Hagar guy?
Oh, for sure.
Really?
100%. Oh, my God. David Lee Roth is
Nobody
your cousin.
says that.
Dude, David Lee Roth is your cousin when you were kids, and you'd all get together, and you'd, try to play board games downstairs while all the adults were upstairs, and there was that one cousin that just wanted to stand on the table making farting noises. That's David Lee Roth. Honestly, you just look at that guy, and you're like, that's the most annoying... what's the word I'm looking for? The most annoying, attention-starved human being you've ever met. Do you remember when he got back together with Van Halen in the 90s for 10 minutes?
Yeah, I do.
They're like, we're going to go out on the awards show and announce that we're back together. And they go out and they're like, yeah, we have a big announcement. We've made amends with David Lee Roth. And they look, and he's on the other side of the, he's on the other side of the stage, and he's like, doing his own thing for the crowd, and they're like, "Oh my god! Like this is why we got rid of you in the first place, you moron." Wish they all could be California girls. Wow! Wow! God, he's the worst. And I love Van Halen, man.
Yeah, eh? It doesn't sound like you do.
Oh, I love Van Halen. I just didn't like his, they were overrated. What did he give us? They gave us Jump.
Yep.
I think Balance is one of the best Van Halen albums. And I know I'm in the minority there.
I'm just taking some more notes here.
You're watching it in real time right now.
Sort of. I also did a first.
If you didn't see the episode, just after everything I say, just be like, "I'm hot for teacher. She's got it bad, so bad. Mom's hot for teacher."
That's all you really need to know about this one, anyways.
Oh, I highly disagree. I have to say before we start, no one else is watching these episodes of Blossom in 2022. This show would be canceled so quickly if anyone else was watching this.
Yeah, I really felt that way about this one, actually.
I was like, how is this on Disney Plus?
I was very uncomfortable with this storyline.
I was just laughing at how atrociously inappropriate it is by today's standards.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Like, in a show that's already... And you can't fault it, because they all were in the 90s. They were inappropriate by today's standards. But this one is just like... Oh my god, like, it's there. It's the tension between the two of them is on purpose. Like, and why are they showing us this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got to get into it, because, like, it was written oddly. And when I first started watching it, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to call Simpsons Did It on this, because Simpsons did an episode about this very early on.
I referenced that very early too.
Yeah.
See,
okay.
this is quickly turning into Lisa and the Substitute.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That's like one of the first seasons, isn't it?
Yeah, he taught me about life.
But they handled it much better than Blossom did.
Oh.
So yeah, we're talking season 2, episode 15, Hot for Teacher. It first aired January 13th, 1992.
I bet you that was a Friday the 13th.
No,
it had to have been.
I think Blossom aired on Mondays.
Maybe this was a special. Don't ruin my story, Sal, with your facts.
your facts and logic.
Right. There's got to be some other forces at play that would allow this to go to air, and no one had a problem with it in 1992. Yeah. Let alone someone to rewatch this in whatever 2018 and be like, "Hey, let's put this episode on Disney Plus."
All right. Well, I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that felt this way while watching this episode.
No, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not like it was a bad episode. It was just it was so forcefully predatorial in places that never paid off one way or the other. It just left it hanging there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, at the end of this episode, were like, he would have banged Blossom had he had the chance. You really felt that way.
I did, which is odd that they would even write that.
And that's not me searching and making a joke about it. It's like, it was right there. Like, that's literally the way it was written. That's how the character delivered his lines in like a safe but eyebrows up way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, as you said, it wasn't a bad episode. It was just, I felt very uncomfortable by the end of it.
For sure, because like and I know it's cliche, but he's like kind of passive aggressively saying no, but his tone is like absolutely. If things were different, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get into it more. Let's do some synopsis first.
All right.
So Disney Plus, very basic. Says Blossom tells a substitute teacher she likes him.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's all I got. TV database. Blossom develops a crush on her handsome substitute teacher, who turns out to be happily married.
That's pretty boring. I did not read the IMDb one until now. And I'm glad I didn't, because it's a huge spoiler, which I actually was very excited when it played out in real time because I didn't see it coming, so I'm glad I didn't read this beforehand. But it says, realizing that her substitute teacher will be leaving, Blossom tells him that she is in love with him. However, when he is given another week of school, Blossom fakes sickness to avoid him. That's like the entire episode there.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a bit... I don't know. I think that's
No, it's
good.
fair. But the fact that she told him that and was like, don't say anything, and ran out, and then only to find out that he's there for another week, I thought was amazing. That was some good writing that I didn't see coming.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I want to praise this episode before we get in. I thought it was like a good episode, just I don't know what they were going for.
Yeah,
I don't
no, it
know.
wasn't a bad episode. It was just... There was just moments of it being very creepy to me.
And creepy by 1992 standards. I can't press that enough. That this isn't even really like a, oh, people didn't think that way in 1992. It's like, no, you're still not going to write a sitcom about a teacher not pushing back on a student's advances in 1992 and still have that, like, acceptable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, at least when Lisa Simpson did it, it was, like, innocent and kind of... She doesn't really, like, put it out there the way that Blossom did. And the fact that this guy wasn't, you know, like... Especially nowadays, like, the way that the world is, if, like, I was the teacher, I would be like, I'm getting the out of this school and never coming back, because
you're shutting it down immediately.
Yeah, because it's like, if anybody, if this gets out and it's taken the wrong way by anybody else, it's like, you know, he's grooming her to, you know, like, he's the one who's going to be the bad guy in this situation. Oh yeah, it was just weird writing, man. Weird writing.
Let's do it, bud.
All right, man. Let's get into it.
We don't waste any time with this. Opening scene. Six asks, who has it worse, boys or girls? And Blossom says, well, obviously girls. They have labor pains and PMS and bad perms. And Joey's there and says, well, boys have it worse because we got to put up with girls with labor pains and PMS and bad perms. And then he, like, shuffles off and goes, we don't even need oversensitive chicks, after Six and Blossom get mad. And then he sees Tammy. Yes. And he wants to carry her books. And that's the payoff. So I'm guessing the joke is supposed to be that he's sensitive? That he's a sensitive dude after he said he doesn't like sensitive girls?
I gotta say, the cold opens to this show are not good.
No.
They're not good
I was like,
at
that's
all.
not even him that's the only joke that's the only punchline they could have meant, is that Joey hates sensitive girls, but then he sees a hot girl and he's immediately pretends to be sensitive. But that's not... He's only pretending to be sensitive because he wants to bang her.
Yeah, it's
like, not...
It's
like the opposite.
It's another one of those where, like, the punchline just happens and then it just quickly goes into the intro.
But swing and a miss takes us into the intro.
Yeah, not good. Not good. I don't like the cold opens.
You ready for it?
Let's
it
do
asks
it.
if I want to skip the intro. I don't. And now, Sal, I imagine, you know, by about season 4, episode, like 100 or like 90, when we're popular enough that there's a demand that we take this podcast on the road and we record in front of an audience in, like, mid-sized bars and venues around Canada.
Oh, you know that's
This is all leading to me going, it asks if I want to skip the intro, and then I look to the audience and everyone yells, I don't!
Yeah. Totally. Why isn't that on
That's why I'm hammering this in.
Why don't we have
it's like
merch for
familiar. It's a call and answer. It's
Yeah.
like Pavlov's dog, right?
Totally.
Coming to a city near you. Okay, Bloomer. And that'll be the only... And then the audio clip they use will be, it asks if I want to skip the intro. I don't! Masturbation. This Friday at Louis'.
Awesome.
Whoa! Hey, Bert! Yep. Okay,
good
so
stuff.
did you mention the flautist? Because he was just sweating during the opening of this.
Yeah.
This is some top notch. He is floating like his job depends on it. He's floating like they were like, John, I don't think we're bringing you back for episode 16. It's just not working out. We're going to rely heavily on the keyboardist. We need more synth than flute. And he's like, I'm going to show you bastards. Like, this guy is going to town.
Yeah, he crushed it on all fronts this week. On every on every Too Many Cook shot, the flute was just killing it.
He is fluting like Rio has a gun to his head or something.
Yeah.
Like Paul Jungerwood is gonna hunt him after the show.
He can sense Paul Jungerwood's PTSD coming on.
I'm gonna release you into the jungle with only your flute.
It's like him playing the flute is like the opposite of like charming a snake. It like calms him down.
The flute is the only thing that calms Jungerwood's urge to kill.
Yeah,
that's why he has to. The second he stops playing the flute, he could die. So he just has to keep going. That's a great premise.
Fading.
I wonder if we could pitch that to Paul Jungerwood. Blossom and Six gawk at their new substitute teacher, who is like 1990 40-year-old man hot, I guess.
Yeah, so this teacher comes in, he tells all the kids to call him Scott because he's cool, right? And yeah, Blossom and Six are gawking at him. Blossom is smitten right away, which, you know, even if I didn't see the title or the description of this episode, you just knew that that's where that was going anyways.
I said there's a couple of ladies in the background behind Blossom and Six who are stanning him as well, huh? Stanning him, Sal?
I mean, I've heard the phrase, but...
I'm getting my Gen Z slang down, because Gen Z slang just hits different.
Yeah, that's...
Thanks, I was proud of that. So he asks a question, Blossom answers, and he says, Blossom, what a pretty name, and call me Scott. And I'm uncomfortable.
So right away, this guy's the substitute teacher for the week, and he just decides, which I don't even know if a substitute teacher can do this. He decides, I don't want to read any of your essays, so instead we're just going to do a play on Romeo and Juliet, and I'm going to grade you on that, which I don't even think you have power as a substitute to grade students.
You've never had Scott Alexander.
Apparently not.
Take all your textbooks and throw them in the garbage, kids.
That's pretty much what he did.
Right? And he's like, what's the creepiest teacher on student Shakespeare play I can think of?
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet.
That's
I was like, which one is it going to be? It was Romeo and Juliet.
So
I really would have thrown me for a loop if it was like Hamlet. I would have been like, oh, okay.
Yeah, all right. Well, I wasn't expecting that. So
yeah.
So yeah, he says that they're going to do a play at the end of the week on Romeo and Juliet instead of writing essays. And that's when the cool dude raises his hand and is like, oh, what if we don't want to do this play? And he's like, all right, well, then you're going to have to write an essay. And the kid's like, all right, play it is then. So he picks that kid as his Romeo. And then you're assuming Blossom's going to be Juliet, but he ends up picking the girl behind Blossom. And her name... Carrie. That's right.
Right? What a bitch.
Yeah.
I was mad about that already as well.
Well, Blossom was pretty upset.
Well, it's got to be Blossom. And Carrie's like, I love to, Scott. And Blossom throws shade on her fellow female just for being asked.
Right, because she's jealous.
Right? We're off and running. There's lessons already learned this week, Sal.
Oh, big time.
Back at the Russo house, flautist continues to play with a gun to his head, apparently.
Killing it.
Right? He's crushing it. He's putting on a flautist clinic.
Totally.
The Rolling Stones are in town. Did you know that?
I do now. Because Anthony's reading a newspaper. And I found it very funny that in 1992, he said, this might be the last tour they do. Because it is 30 years later, and they are still touring.
I wrote that. It's 1991. Anthony says it might be the last time they ever tour, and there's no laugh track after this, because that line wasn't supposed to be funny.
No.
What a time to be alive.
Right?
And then I wrote, okay, Rolling Stones are in town. And I doubt they're going to show up in the kitchen like the Beach Boys did in Full House. However, if it does happen and the show ends with the cast lip-syncing to Sympathy for the Devil on stage with them, this podcast is over, Sal.
You know,
it's one of my least favorite songs of all time.
I didn't even
hate
question it for
Sympathy
a
for the
second
Devil.
that they were actually going to show up.
This just reminded me of that episode of Full House where they're like, oh, the Beach Boys are coming to town on Friday. And they're like, well, your Uncle Jesse knows the Beach Boys. That's not true. And then at the end, it's just like, hey. And they all like walk into the kitchen and they're all like spiking the camera.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they're half cut and have no idea why they're doing this. We came by to give your Uncle Jesse tickets to the show. Yeah, but we call him Dink. Oh, guys, no, it's a funny story.
Is that actually what happened?
Pretty much. Not verbatim, but they walked into the kitchen, and the studio audience cheers, and it's just like the most awkward body language you've ever seen from 4 or 5 men. They don't know where to look, and they can't act, and they're delivering the lines like a corpse. It's just so bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, classic sitcom. So, yeah, Anthony's
are
basically...
we going to go to the Beach Boys show? No, we came to Aunt Becky. Oh. Have mercy. Dave Coulier is just watching it go down. Aren't you going to say cut it out? Hell no.
The Beach Boys told me that they could get my kids into college.
Oh, no.
So
what's her, Lori Loughlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty hot.
Even to this day, man. Even to this day.
Well, yeah.
Even after
like
prison.
honest to God, like the only thing that could have made that woman hotter was knowing she went to prison.
You're right.
That's like the one fantasy I never had until now. It's like she's doing the work for me.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, so Anthony asked Nick if he knows anybody who can hook them up with tickets for the show. Nick gets all offended, like, come on, you don't think I know, like, Mick Jagger? He's like, I'll get you the tickets. Which is like, all right. So Nick knows Mick Jagger now.
And I'm sure no tomfoolery will follow.
No.
But it made me laugh because he's like, I did a gig with Mick Jagger in the Cow Palace in 1979. Constantly reminding myself that the only reason I know 80% of the geography I do know and the name of arenas around North America is from watching wrestling for 30 years. I'm like, oh yeah, the Cow Palace. I think there was a Survivor Series there.
There was.
I got so excited. I was like, the Cow Palace.
That's awesome. I don't remember what happens after this.
This is Lisa and the Substitute vibe, I said. So we go back to, I don't know why I wrote that in there. That was way out of place, but Nick finds Mick Jagger's number, but it was a fake number. So Joey's in Blossom's room writing a love letter.
Yes.
And he's copying from her books because he tried copying from his books, but all he has is comic books, and he starts reading this dark passage from Spider-Man about trapping her like a fly.
Yeah, was that from Spider-Man? He didn't specify, but...
Totally was.
Yeah.
And I said, honestly, that's not too far off from my favorite Spider-Man quote, which I actually have, like, printed and pasted up on my wall that I'm looking at right now.
Which
from
is?
Craven's Last Hunt. Let him shout. There it is. Let him shout. Let him scream my name. My ears hear nothing but the weaving of the web. Damn.
Wow.
That's the line.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
You should write that in a letter to Tammy.
Yeah. I'll write that to Lori in prison.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder if she'd do a podcast with us.
Who, Lori
How
Loughlin?
awesome would a podcast with Lori Loughlin from prison? We just watch like prison dramas and movies together, and she can like dissect them.
No, it's not really.
She'd be like, no. Are you kidding me? That girl is not worth 3 packs of smokes. Like 1.5 tops.
Yeah. We should watch Oz with Lori Loughlin.
Oh my God. She's like, hold on. I got to shank a press pause.
I'm pretty sure she's out. I'm pretty sure she was only in prison for like a month.
Just smoking. She's got a teardrop tattoo.
Yeah.
All that's working for me, by the way.
Oh, totally. She's got like the Tupac bandana.
I'm trying to think of like Full House prison puns.
Yeah, I was trying to too, but they're just not coming right now. I'm fairly certain this was probably like every headline, but it was like from Full House to the Big House.
100%.
You know.
I remember when the actress that played Marianne on Gilligan's Island. This was like 5 or 10 years ago. Got busted in the airport trying to smuggle a whole bunch of marijuana over the border. Everybody thought this was original, and then he just had a montage of, honest to God, probably about 17 newscasts, and it was like, Marianne was found with Mary Jane. Just one after another. And he's like, originality's dead, folks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm
But
sure.
each of them wrote that headline like thinking they knocked it out of the park, and they were the only one that thought that.
Actually, you know what's funny is I think I saw something like that too, where like it might have been on Jimmy Fallon or something, where they were showing like something similar, but like every newscast like around the country like had the same opening line. But then I remember reading in the comments that apparently like it might be like through Associated Press or something, like they just write the scripts and they like literally like every news place will just copy and paste them, so it looks like they're all like unoriginal, but it's actually just like one person writing a script, and they'll just take the script and use it
I could see that.
on like every newscast.
Okay. When the like gang of 6 women come for Lori in the shower, she's like, "Watch the hair." Took me a second, but I got there.
All right. You did it. That's a good one. That's all
I want. All right. Where are we here? So it's dark passage about Spider-Man trapping girls like a fly. So he's writing creepy Spider-Man poetry. I love Joey's sweater, by the way. Did you see that masterpiece?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So Blossom offers to help write this love letter from Joey to Tammy. And I have closed captions on. And for the record, Tammy is spelled Tammi.
Ah, okay.
I don't know why that was just funny, because that's like the stripper name for Tammy.
Well, it ends in an I, so you know she's down.
Right? Oh, totally. There's no other reason to do that.
Right.
To put it with an I instead of a Y.
Right.
So she's trying to help Joey. She's like, hey, what is it about Tammy that jumps out at you? And he goes, her boobs. And the crowd goes nuts.
It. Yeah, they love it.
Like, guys and a few girls cheer way too long.
Yeah.
And it's such a hit, they immediately repeat the joke, and the crowd repeats the reaction. Like, they go for it a second time, and it's the same level of enthusiasm.
Blossom's like, no, like, what about her eyes? What do her eyes remind you of? And he does the same thing. He's like, her boobs. And the crowd just
goes nuts. Like, the crowd is just, like, red hot horny this week, and I love it.
Yeah.
Blossom gets mad. He's like, is it the wrong answer? Okay, her butt. And then Blossom threatens to tell Tammy that he's a world-class dipwad. And I was like, is dipwad a swear? It really, like, rung in my room when I was listening to it.
Yeah, did she call him a dickwad?
It was a dipwad, but I had to back it up because I heard dickwad at first, too.
Yeah, I was like, wow, man.
She said dipwad, which, I don't know, it still is weird. I feel like they should have beeped that word, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then what happens, Sal? We get a whoa, an official whoa.
We do.
That tracks.
It's whoa.
100% whoa.
And the new count, it's whoa number 4. Joey says.
And in the old count that includes Alf.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I didn't. I'm done. I'm not doing 2 counts.
Oh, okay. We started. We hit reset. We're on 4.
Well, now that Whoa Mania is running wild. So once again, Blossom's offering to help Joey with a girl as long as he promises not to be a sexist pig. So this is an ongoing theme on this show.
She never learns. She never learns, Sal.
She does not.
We dip creepy. Blossom starts daydreaming, and Scott's floating head says, Blossom, I love you.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to make of this. I was like,
even
I get this.
Even as an actor, I would feel weird about this. Like,
right?
I don't know how this guy got through this, man.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
And then we realize that Carrie got mono and can't be Juliet, so he asks Blossom to be his Juliet.
Yeah.
And did you notice she actually had her hair kind of like Juliet in this scene?
No.
Yeah, she had her hair like long into the side, which she doesn't usually have.
Yeah, but it wasn't just that, like, he was like, oh yeah, Carrie has mono, so she's not going to be able to do it. He's like, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think Blossom's our Juliet. He, like, puts his hand on her shoulder. I'm like, dude. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is, like, looking through this in today's lens, or if this actually would have felt creepy in 1992.
I feel like it would have felt creepy in 1992, but I feel like there's probably a lot more creepy teachers in 1992, so this probably didn't stick out as much, which is kind of sad. Did this teacher remind you of anyone, Sal?
No.
Just like the look? No?
Nick Russo, maybe?
Nah, just like the feathered blonde hair and the way he grinned. His little goofy grin, no?
No, it didn't remind me of Steven Dorff, if that's what you're getting at.
No, not at all. I was going to say this teacher looks like he was wearing a green bald cap and a turtle costume the morning of 9/11 to me. Thought you might like that one.
He was looking a little Carvey-ish, wasn't he?
He looks like Dana Carvey. He totally did. He was trying to be Dana Carvey.
Oh my god.
Just like a toned down version of Dana Carvey, when Dana Carvey like acts like himself, like when you see him in talk shows, he's just kind of like, he dresses like that, and he kind of has like that, he does more of an exaggerated bop, but he's got the exact same smile and hair as this guy. So she acts out the scene, and the teacher gives her a hug, and I think this is just like a passage of time montage.
Yeah, it's
like we get to Friday and they act out.
Yeah, but did you notice like when it cut like to the exterior shot of the school again, just like it really threw me off when it just said that Friday at the bottom.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't even see that. I must have been writing.
Yeah, no, I don't know why. It was just weird. But yeah, it was like kind of like a passage of time of like she was like doing the monologue, and then it was just showing like a montage of like the kids acting it all out.
Yeah.
And her kind of,
it was lazy.
Her and the teacher kind of making eyes at each other the whole time. Like, yeah, weird, man. Weird.
And then she just goes for it. It's the end of the week, and he's leaving, and he tells her she was the perfect Juliet. And then she goes and she closes the door so she's alone in the classroom with him. And like you mentioned off the top, right now, if that happened, the teacher would be like, "What are you doing?" And he would run and open the door and be like, like...
Well, yeah, a teacher who doesn't want anything to do with that, for sure. But
yeah.
Like, just awkward, man. Like, so awkward.
So she closes, which is super forward for the Blossom character.
Yeah, I thought so, too. Like, this whole exchange, and then she's like, "I'm going to make a fool of myself, but I don't really care." And she's like, "I've had a crush on you all week." And then she, like, gives him a piece of paper with her phone number and address on it, and is like, in like 15 years, if you still think about me, like, give me a call. What is going on here?
I know, I was very uncomfortable. I wrote, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
And then she bails.
Yeah.
Then she's just like, "No," and he's like trying to talk to her. She's like, "No, don't say anything. And she runs out into the hallway. And then she runs into Joey and Tammy, and we get a moment of like Joey Lawrence's brilliance as an actor, where he's just passing by, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a pinafore."
Yeah, that was great. Because he was like telling her the poem about his garden, and she's
yeah,
like, "Can I see your garden?" He's like, "Well, I don't actually have a garden. It's a pinafore."
Because he doesn't know the word metaphor.
Yeah, so good, man. So is this where she runs into Six as well, and then Six informs him that, their regular teacher, Mr. Versace, which I thought was a funny name.
I feel like that was a Jenna Von Oy make up a name.
Yeah.
And she came up with Mr. Versace.
Yeah. Mr. Versace has to have his appendix out, so he's out another week. So Scott's going to be around. Uh-oh. Awkward for Blossom.
I wrote, "Man, that is a great twist." I was very happy with that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't
know where it was going to go, but... So yeah, I thought that was a great twist. I was pretty into this episode after that. I was like, okay, they got to pay off this, like, creepy vibe between these two, right?
Yeah.
Either he's going to, like, actually be creepy and get busted, or he's going to, like, be like, "Blossom, you can't do this," right?
You know what? In a way, I almost would have preferred that.
Yeah.
You know how this show tackles the issues? It's like, it would have almost made sense if it went that way, but it was just odd the way that they left it kind of just hanging there.
It did not go that way.
Yeah, I didn't...
Joey's helping Blossom fake a fever.
Yes.
She puts the thermometer up to the light, and then Nick comes in to check the thermometer and says she has a fever of 115, and I know either this show or another show has used that exact same gag. Like, I know I've seen that scene before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like Aunt Becky on Full House trying to get out of going to jail.
Is that what happens if you have a fever? You can't go to jail?
And you know what else I was thinking, though? Is like, you couldn't do that nowadays. You couldn't hold a thermometer up to a light, because like thermometers now are just like, you put it up to your forehead and press a button.
We still have the rectal thermometers in this house, so...
I have no doubt. And actually, I thought this was kind of a cool Nick moment here too, because like he obviously knew that Blossom was faking, and he just kind of let her get away with it.
Yeah, it was good.
He was
I like that. I like that camaraderie. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, this must be the English flu. And then she was like, no, it's more of like a personal flu. He's like, well, all right, but you know that like you only get the personal flu once in your life, and then you're immune for it forever. And it was like, all right, he's gonna let her get away. Like he knows that there's something
she
going
gets
on.
one.
Yeah, he's giving her this one. He's like, all right, like you can stay home from school. It's fine.
And then another complete bridge to nowhere, which we didn't know at the time. He's like, I'll stop by school and get your homework. I was like, okay, is this gonna be the payoff?
Right.
I was like, he's going to go there. There's going to be a misunderstanding. He's going to find, like, Blossom's name and number on a piece of paper on this teacher's desk.
I didn't even think about that.
And he's going to be like, Scott Alexander's a pedophile, and he's going to beat that ass.
Right.
And then Mick Jagger's going to come in and be like, Nick, no, what are you doing? You got tickets to my show. That's my Mick Jagger.
We're all going to be late for the show, Nick. Well, why don't we just do it here in the school?
We can't bring all these kids to the show. Let's bring the show to the kids.
Stop me up.
Cutaway of Anthony, like, raising the curtain to start the show.
Yeah.
Joey's working lights.
Yeah. It's like somehow all the Russos are just there.
Scott Alexander's just in the shadows watching all the teenage girls dance.
Yeah.
You get an A, you get an A, you get the D. Just made that up right now, for real. I'm pretty proud of that, too.
That's pretty good, man. That's... Oh, my God.
Okay, Nick tries and fails to get Anthony Stone's tickets, and he and Anthony exchange Stone lyrics, and I don't think most of the audience knew what those were.
No, it was... Yeah, so he ended up getting Mick Jagger's actual phone number, and then he called, and there was this whole bit of Nick and Mick, and then the guy's name was Rick, and there was just all this confusion. And then at the end, Anthony was like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, if you don't get the tickets, it's all good. But Nick was, like, determined. He was like, yeah. And then Anthony said, you can't always get what you want. And then I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I thought just the ending, because Nick delivered this so slowly. He's like, if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. And that was, like, the end of the scene. And nobody laughed.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh either.
But luckily, here comes Buzz. Here comes Buzz to save the day.
Yeah.
And he's mad because he's not the creepy old man for once.
Yeah, right?
Right? He's getting out creeped.
Yeah.
So he comes into Blossom's room with a tray of some soup, some crackers, some juice, and an open beer with a roofie in it. He's like, oh, sorry. Hard habit to break.
I thought 6 was here.
And it's alphabet soup, and Blossom doesn't want it, so Buzz eats it, and he says he likes it because he can spell dirty words.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then that's Blossom's cue to be like, this is the guy I'm going to ask advice from.
Right?
Mr. Horny Old Grandpa making dirty words with his alphabet soup. Do I have a question about relationships for you?
Yeah. And then, yeah, the doorbell rings and Blossom's like, yeah, I'll get it. And Buzz is like, good. And then he, like, gets in her bed. He's like, bring me up a soda.
Did you miss the story about Mary Poppins, though?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So she leans on him for advice, and he tells her about the time he had an affair with one of the nannies that got blown away by Poppins in the beginning of Mary Poppins. And I'm laughing off because I had a good time with that scene when I reviewed it for my other Disney review segment I do on YouTube, because it's a really funny scene if you haven't seen.
Are you ready for a surprise? I have never seen Mary Poppins.
That's no surprise. I hadn't seen Mary Poppins until I had to review it.
Oh, okay.
But there's a scene where the rich family is they put an open call out for nannies.
Yeah.
And they're like the rich people, right? So the next morning it's like show up for your interview at like 9 a.m. So the next morning, there's literally like 40 nannies in line at the front door waiting to be interviewed. And then Poppins comes down from a cloud, makes like a hurricane, and scatters these women all across the road.
That sounds awesome.
I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but like, literally, you don't see it because they get swept like out of the screen, but like these poor women that just want a job would have been like bouncing skulls off the pavement just a block away.
And nanny number 4 was the one who Buzz got with.
And then he has a funny made-up story where instead of dumping him, he makes up the story that she fell to her death out of a window.
Yeah, he like convinced her to jump off of a roof of a hotel in New York City. Yeah, so that's when the doorbell rings. Blossom goes downstairs and leaves Buzz in her bed. And then, yeah, so 6 is there. She skipped gym class, and then she said that Scott was asking about her that day. So they're
Blossom's like...
Yeah, Blossom's like giddy and excited about it. And then suddenly she's like, well, I got to go to the school and talk to him.
Which is so bizarre, because...
Yeah.
Like, why didn't she want to talk to him before?
Yeah, but like she thinks that like he's gonna be into it and not get arrested. Like I don't understand where Blossom is coming from here.
I don't get why the information 6 gave her made her do a 180.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden she wants to go to school. So that's where she goes.
And then the phone rings and Joey answers it, and it's Mick Jagger, and they do this gag again. This is like the 3rd time they've done this gag in this show.
Yeah, where it's like somebody famous phoning the Russo house.
Yeah.
And they don't believe it. Yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, you're Mick Jagger? He's like, I gotta go. Paul McCartney's here with my pizza. And then like hangs up on him.
Then the phone rings again, and Nick answers it. It's me, Nick Russo. No, the white guy.
I laughed probably the hardest at this part of the episode because he's like, yeah, don't you remember we played at the Cow Palace in '79? He's like, yeah, Nick Russo, that's me. And he goes, no, the white guy. Because I just picture Mick Jagger on the other end going, oh, yeah, Nick Russo, the black guy.
Yeah. You have to do Mick Jagger from now on. I can't.
Mine's not very good, but...
It's way better than mine. Mine was like, hey, bub.
Oi, bub.
Oh, Mick Jagger. I'm working on the docks.
I'm sweeping chimneys, I am.
Oh, I've made Aunt Becky a cake with a foil in it.
You gotta throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Let's go Springer from the clink.
Oh yeah. So out of that whole like Nick Russo, no, the white guy. That just made me laugh really hard.
It was good stuff. So Blossom heads to school, and Scott Alexander's like, your dad was just here 20 minutes ago. I gave him your homework. He's like, I'm really glad you're back. I thought about you all weekend long. And the girls in the crowd go nuts.
Yeah, they love it, man. They love this.
Girls in 1992 wanted to bang their teachers, apparently. This is like the dream. This is the goal line.
Yeah, it's like no longer like the innocent, like, oh, I have a crush on my teacher. It's like, this is about to turn into a porn. Like,
right?
What is going on here?
This is so wrong. And the teacher's like, yeah, I honestly did think about you all weekend long. And my erection was like, turtle, 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 turtle.
Yeah, so this pedo teacher was thinking about Blossom all weekend long. And the way his like demeanor was very creepy, like he was into it. He was like into the fact that Blossom was into him.
What you said took a lot of courage and sensitivity.
Yeah.
What? Like that's a real line he says to her.
Yeah.
And he's saying it in a very like come hither way, you know?
So odd, man. So creepy. Not good.
And then okay, so then the payoff I feel is like before the conversation can go any further, and he is legitimately being creepy with her, his wife comes in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, here's the cutoff. But then she is like, oh, Scott talked about you all weekend. And I wrote, yeah, especially in bed. Thanks, girl. It hasn't been that good in a long time. We role played. I went to Goodwill and got some musty sweaters and a fishing hat, and Scott Alexander Romeo'd my Juliet.
Oh, dear God, man.
But no, we get another swerve. And he invites her out with him and his wife.
Yeah. But then the whole thing here is like Blossom is crushed that he's married, and it's like, are we supposed to feel bad for Blossom here? Are we supposed to feel bad that the 35-year-old teacher is married and like can't get with the 15-year-old student? Like,
just not good. Not a good feeling.
No.
And that was kind of the vibe where he was like, "You can come out with my wife and I." I was like, ah.
Yeah. It's weird, man, because I feel like it just like today, like anything like that, like I would be so worried as the teacher that like if anything like that got out, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, and it would get out.
Yeah, so then he like leaves, but not before he like comes back in the room and turns to her and was like, "You really were the perfect Juliet." Like,
right? His wife leaves, yeah, and then it's just the two of them.
No, but like he was leaving with her, and then he like came back into the room to tell her that.
You really are a special girl, Blossom.
Yeah, it's like so odd, man.
There's been episodes that have not aged well, but this one tops the list. So, back at home, and Joey is down in the dumps because Tammy liked the poem Blossom wrote so much. She asked him to recite a new poem for her on the spot, and he panicked, and he quoted the Divinal song, "I Touch Myself."
Just with his head in his hands. Oh, that was good. That was a good payoff.
Then the shot pulls out, and we see Blossom in a wheelchair from abusing her own body so hard after that steamy exchange with Garth from Wayne's World. Also, that Divinal song is great.
Yeah, right?
That song has aged so well. I get so excited when I hear that song, not just because of the lyrics, but just like it's a good song.
But I love it. I loved how that wrapped up Joey's strikeout for the week.
Anthony comes in hot with Nick, and after the concert that Nick ended up getting tickets to, they got to go backstage, and Nick remembered every detail of their first show together at the Cow Palace, and I guess Nick was so nervous that he fainted. And again, this is another like weird thing they always do with Nick, where he gets so like puffy-chested about something he needs to prove without really remembering it's not a good memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't think that the fact that he fainted was going to come up if he actually pulled this off and Anthony got to meet Mick Jagger. That's not the one story Mick Jagger would tell about his dad.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, I didn't quite get that. But I also thought of the fact that they got to go backstage at a Rolling Stones concert. I was like, that's probably not a good idea to bring a former junkie to, you know?
Yeah, right.
It's probably not a good environment to have him around.
Keith Richards is probably the guy selling Anthony drugs from the alley behind the school.
Yeah. But Anthony didn't care. Anthony didn't really care about the story. He just had a really good time at the concert, and that was kind of it.
And then this was amazing. This might have been, honestly, like, legitimately one of my favorite lines in the show so far. So Nick and Blossom are sitting on the couch having a moment, and she's like, "I had feelings for someone who didn't feel the same way." And Nick says, "Those impossible relationships are sometimes the best ones because they keep their promises." And I was like, damn.
Yeah, this whole like advice thing that he gave her here too, like not before she revealed that it was the married teacher, and he was like, "I'm gonna kill this teacher," rightfully so.
Yeah, it's like, man, Nick Russo is writing scripture tonight. That one was good.
But yeah, but he also said to her too, like, it's a good thing that, you know, she's kind of figuring out what she wants when she meets a guy, so she's kind of starting to be more selective.
Yeah,
which I thought was an alright thing too. Even though it was
a good takeaway. Nick was pretty cool in this episode.
Yeah,
this is like the good Nick Russo.
This
where
was
he's
like cool dad Nick from like the first few episodes.
Yeah, where he's like giving his kids some space to breathe and coming back in to help out. You know, this is good. He's not just getting in their face and being like, "I pay the bills."
Yeah, totally.
Then they dunk on Elizabeth Taylor. I didn't track this.
I didn't either, but yeah, it was something.
And the audience like they had like a wince laugh, like I don't feel good laughing about this, but the sign tells me to.
Yeah, I didn't quite track it either, but yeah, Blossom was basically saying like she doesn't want to get married 8 times and then have to get married at Michael Jackson's house to a construction worker that she met at the Betty Ford clinic. I don't know if that was a thing. Was that one of
Elizabeth Taylor?
Yeah, was that one of her husbands? I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah. Hilarious.
But then Nick tells the story of a teacher that he had a crush on, and then he basically tells.
Not before. But you missed the best part though, where we find out that, or she lets it slip that he's the guy she loved was married.
Right.
Because she says, "God, I'd love to kill his wife." Blossom says, "God, I'd love to kill his wife," and it wasn't even like there wasn't no like laugh track after it. It was just sad, and I was like, damn. Like,
Yeah, it was an odd joke.
but it wasn't like there was no laugh track after, was there?
No, but
She just like said that. It was like, man. Like, I know she didn't really want to kill, but it was like, you can't. It's just, that's so jarring. You'd never say that on TV today.
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But then there was like this dream sequence that Blossom had where they were older, and that's when another caption came up on the screen saying 15 years later. And it was like old man Nick was answering the door, and it was Scott at the door, and he's a famous Broadway writer.
Broadway director.
But did you catch this when Blossom was like, and he basically confesses his love for Blossom, and then Blossom's like, I heard everything. And he's like, what about your wife? And then, did you catch this? The story that he told about his wife?
That she was a dancer.
She was a ballet dancer, and she was doing a show in Kansas, and a wind came when she was doing a pirouette and drilled her into the ground, and she died. They've used that joke before.
Have they?
Yeah, Anthony said that joke in one of the previous episodes.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
We brought it up, too. It was like, They used that exact joke about the ballet dancer screwing herself into the ground when a tornado came by.
I just said it ended with the words, screwing herself into the ground, which struck me as funny. No, I completely missed that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, they told that exact joke before.
Did you think it was weird that she was like, I had the hots for the teacher, and Nick doesn't put it together that he met this dude?
No,
because he went to get the homework from him.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't
that's
like,
right.
He wasn't like Scott Alexandra, that Dana Carvey looking mother. That guy.
Yeah, no, I didn't put that together actually.
He's just like, and then immediately remembers the teacher he had the hots for.
Right. Yeah, because then wouldn't you like put it together if you was like, and that's the guy, and then you like didn't want to go to school today, like.
Yeah.
Like,
but
did
no,
he do something to you? You know, like.
Yeah. No, he just completely moves on.
Like, I feel like this whole thing could have been really bad for the teacher, and he just did not play it off he didn't come off very well at all. He, like, played into it and was almost flattered. Like, it was just odd.
Yeah, for sure. I did like, in the flash forward fantasy, Blossom comes down the stairs in a purple, like, Evita outfit.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I want you to be my Juliet. And she goes, in a play? And he goes, no, in real life. In my play, I want you to be Officer Crumpkey. I think that was my favorite line of the show. Yeah, so his wife screwed herself into the ground, and I wrote, even this fantasy is weird, man.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it was creepy then too. Like, even as the actor, just like being into Blossom was like, it just
he's
made
like, I was hot for you 15 years ago.
Yeah,
and now we can finally be together.
It made me very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, then it comes back and Nick basically says, you know, like...
He says he got over his crush for his teacher by banging as many women as he could until he forgot all about her and sex became as exciting as tying his shoes.
Yeah, more or less. More or less, that's what he said.
Much.
And then again, they didn't stick the landing. It was just like Blossom started crying in his arms, and that was it.
And he goes, oh.
Yeah.
And then credits begin.
Yeah. And that was it. That's how this one ended. And again, not a bad episode.
Like I was the ballet dancer and screwed myself into the ground. I spun so fast watching this. Like, nothing made sense.
I wish I could have. Yeah, so that's Hot for Teacher, man. Again, not a bad episode. Just, it sat with me very... It was very odd. Very odd.
I never came to any sort of conclusion. I was like, I'm going to wrap this up and have some sort of theory, and it never came.
No. So we got woe number 4, official woe number 4.
Yep.
Our pit characters this week are Tammy and Scott, who is played by Parker Stevenson.
Who is in a whole bunch of B movies, including Ghoulies 2, which was a favorite of mine.
Oh, he was in Ghoulies? No way, man. Carrie was played by Jodie Peterson. She's not a pit member. She comes back as a different character.
All these background characters, if you look at their IMDb, they all had like bit parts in Full House, My So-Called Life, Family Matters.
They did the circuit. They did the circuit in the 90s. Jack was played by Damon Martin, and I noted that he was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
He sure was.
Because you played with yourself, Pee-wee. Now that's a callback.
Well, Cherry, you haven't seen me around very much, and you know why? Do you know why I went to jail? Because you played with yourself, Pee-wee.
Good stuff. And Melissa was Scott's wife, and she was played by Paige Pengra, and she has been in the show before. She was.
Yeah, she has.
She was Maddie, the mother, in the flashback videos of Thanks for the Memorex.
So she played Blossom's mom at one point.
Yes.
And now in this one,
she's her rival.
Oh, that's some Freud stuff right there, man.
You got that right. So that's a
and
wrap.
For the
on
record, can you imagine how hot Freud's mom must have been?
Yeah, nobody talks about that.
No, it's gotta be.
Gotta be, man.
I'm talking like Becky in jail hot.
That needs to be our new merch. Freud's mom was a MILF. Oh man. So that's a wrap on Hot for Teacher. Next episode is called 3 o'clock and All is Hell. And that episode, we're gonna be in person for the first time in what? Almost 4 years that we've seen each other in person. And we're gonna be doing a podcast.
The only puking I will do will be alcohol related, unlike last time.
Excellent.
When I had the flu.
That's right. That was the last time I saw you.
God, what a mess. What a mess. All right, so 3 o'clock and All is Hell.
All is Hell in-person podcast, man. Our first one.
And props to you, Sal, man. It's probably like 3 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
You got to get up at 7. This is a super late night for you.
It was.
Thanks for making it work.
But it was worth it. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we both agreed that this sat with us very oddly. And hopefully the next one's better. Now, if you excuse me, I got to go call Aunt Becky.
Is that a euphemism for something?
No. I just got to go phone her in LA County.
Do you accept a collect call from... Yes!
I'm going to pretend to be the college dean.
That's so mean.